Hello everyone, it is your boy NCSO7 here, and welcome back to Forgotten Corner, the series where I take a look at games that I feel don't get enough attention, at least to me. So, for today's video, I'm going to pose the question, why isn't there a game where you can stretch your arms out to kill each other? If you weren't thinking about that question, well, shame on you, because today, we're going to be taking a look at one game that does fit the bill, that being ARMS. Yes, ARMS. You may remember it, and even though the game didn't sell poorly, I think it's pretty obvious that the game has been basically swept under the rug, even by Nintendo. ARMS was originally being made as a fighting game that could have the camera behind the character, akin to that of how Mario Kart's camera works. This would be how they came up with the extendable arms concept. At one point, characters like Link and Mario and characters from Punch-Out were to appear, but these were scrapped so that the game could have its own identity. The game would then be revealed at the Nintendo Switch presentation in 2017 and would release later that June with mixed to positive reviews. But since I don't really see people talk about it much anymore, let's take a look at ARMS and see what worked as well as what didn't and why nobody talks about the game or really even plays it anymore. Since ARMS is a fighting game, fighting is the main gameplay, but the gimmick this time is, as I said before, extendable arms. Basically, you extend your arms out to attack your enemies to drain their health to win. There are various ways to attack. You can shoot each arm at once or shoot them together to grab the enemy. Various items will fall down that can either heal or damage you. Blocking can be very helpful, though can leave you vulnerable to grabs. You can also unleash a super move that can really damage opponents once you get the meter up enough. And that's pretty much the main gameplay of ARMS. And while it does have more variety depending on what characters and arms you use, as throughout the game you can unlock more arms to use that can do different things. For example, some of them can fire projectiles and some of them can be slow punches that can do super effective damage, and each character has different abilities, such as Master Mummy being able to heal himself while guarding. Overall, the core gameplay of ARMS is honestly pretty good, and although it does lack some depth, as your arms are the only real method of attack, it is still quite some fun, especially with other people. There honestly isn't too much to say about the gameplay aside from it being pretty decent for a new idea. So, let's take a look at moving on to the visuals. I would say it's probably the game's biggest strength, as character designs are very creative and on point, and the performance is really good too. The game runs perfectly fine. There's really not too much to say about that. The art for the game is also really good looking, being very stylish and fitting with the game's style. And as for the music, it's really good. The title theme and Ribbon Girl stage music are probably the most standout ones, though there are definitely some other good tunes sprinkled throughout the game. Honestly, there's not really much to say about the visuals and music, as both of them fit with the game's theme and to me are probably the game's biggest strengths. Though we finally get to what the game offers, as it is a $60 game, so you'd expect there to be a lot to keep you coming back, right? Well, sorry to spoil, but not really. The only real single-player mode is Grand Prix, where you battle multiple opponents in a row, similar to the classic mode from Smash Bros. There's the normal versus matches, as well as the side modes like V-Ball or Target Test, which those are honestly more mini-game than anything else. There's the online, which I don't really play, and some unlockables to get with the credits you earn, and yeah, there isn't really much at all. I mentioned before how I think the gameplay is decent, but I think the biggest problem is that there's just not much that they do with it. I think the most blatant omission was a story mode, as not only would it give something for solo players to play, but it could also flesh out the world and characters more. If they were trying to make the game more competitively viable, I can understand, but at the same time, they're not doing much for somebody playing by themselves, and they're just alienating them. And even in multiplayer, eventually the gameplay gets kind of old. It eventually just becomes jump, dodge, and throw arms jump, dodge, and throw arms over and over and over. Honestly, ARMS has a lot of similarities to that of Splatoon, in the sense that both were new IPs and both had similar lacks of content at launch. The thing is, Splatoon had the story mode and the lore to make the game more interesting. It made you care about its world and characters more. It was a more fleshed out game. But ARMS, well, I'm sure there's lore and whatnot outside of the game. The fact that the game itself doesn't give you that stuff, and it doesn't even have, well, a story mode, to me is one of the biggest problems with the game. It just doesn't feel fleshed out enough. And while yes, after release they did update the game with adding more characters, they weren't really fixing the main problem with the game. But that's really all I have to say. Content-wise, it is extremely lacking. So I guess it's time to just wrap this up. ARMS is a weird game. While it has amazing character design, music, and some decent enough gameplay, like I've said before, the biggest problem is that the game isn't fleshed out enough. The game feels more like a glorified tech demo rather than the final product. With a lack of story mode, lore, or anything more, whether it's additional game modes or anything, there isn't enough to keep people around. And yes, Nintendo has tried to revive interest several times, such as the tournaments they hold within the game, which can't even hold a candle to Splatoon Splatfests. And they also added Min Min to Smash Ultimate as a DLC fighter. Though, funny enough, Min Min is probably the most uninteresting DLC character in that game, as her specials are practically the same as her neutrals. At the end of the day, while I think ARMS is a great concept for a fighting game, the execution is very subpar. It isn't a bad game, but also not one you'll be loving to play either. If only the game were fleshed out more. Maybe if we ever get a sequel, perhaps, but as for now, I don't know. Since ARMS is such a new idea, they really should have tried to flesh it out as much as they can, but, well, they didn't, and I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why ARMS has been, mostly by many people, forgotten. But that's my thoughts on it. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this game. Let me know what games you'd want to see on this segment, and maybe I'll check them out sometime. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more of this series, because I'm going to have more of it coming out soon. And yeah, share this with people so more people can see my content and whatnot, and me rambling like a dumbass. But I really said that, didn't I? Alright, I'm gonna end this here. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace out, everybody.